Well, hello everyone. It is the Kevin and Andrew podcast. My name is Kevin O'Neill. Hope you're doing all right. Say hi, Andrew.
Hi, Andrew. That's me.
Hey, I could do this. Number 7.
Look
Number
at that.
7.
Your fingers are finally working on the 7th podcast.
I practiced all week. I practiced that all week just to get that number 7, by gosh. Actually, it's 8 episodes if you want to, but the last one had two parts.
That's right.
So episode 7, season 1 of Kevin and Andrew Have a Podcast. We're glad you're here with us. I'm glad to be here. Andrew's glad to be here.
I am. I'm stoked today. I'm stoked.
It's good. It's a Thursday. And
Thursday.
You know, I'm happy to be here. I am happy to be here. It's been a kind of a... Andrew had a lot of schoolwork to do, so he's been busy.
I did. I'm a college student again. So that's what happens when you make a name for yourself in show business. You forget school, you go and do your thing, and then when your thing isn't happening anymore, hence why I'm doing a podcast, you go back to school.
Well, it's good. You're studying to be a nurse, right?
Yeah, sure. I'm sure that would come in handy with role playing.
Okay.
No, I'm just strengthening my digital media skills.
I got you. Good.
Yeah.
That's
it's
good.
Journalism, so that's basically what I'm good at.
That's a good thing to be in when you're doing this kind of work.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Kevin, and that's another thing when you're in media, you get feedback, you get critiques about things that you do, especially when you welcome it. And from what I understand, you had quite the comments on the racism episode that we did.
Really, I did. I had a lot of comments, but they weren't comments about they weren't comments against anything except for the fact they said that they thought I was being too soft, that I didn't.
Too soft.
People know me as kind of a hardcore guy sometimes about when it comes to things, and they thought I was being too easy on people. I guess I was a little bit. I was being nice, and I because some of my views are not the same as other people's, and not that I'm a racist, because I'm not. I truly believe that it's just the way people just thought I was being too soft, that I should have flexed or my side.
Your white privilege?
Yeah, I should have flexed my white privilege more, if you want to.
Yeah. And that's fine. We have differences on this, and it would have been interesting to see you flex that a little more. I'm amazed and shocked on my Facebook page how divided people still are, and by people I really mean white people, with the view on racism. I'm perplexed. I feel like there's enough information out there. And I feel like that there is enough proof out there that people can make valid conclusions internally, or at least reflect on themselves. And it's not really happening. And that's okay. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, but it just baffles me.
I think it's not happening because the fact is that people are getting, I get so much, and I know you probably do too, being as, we have a lot of followers on our social media pages.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, a lot of this, I get so many things, especially on Facebook, from people that are just their videos, and it's not from just one side, it's from both sides, that it's just so fake. There's just so many people. There's just so much information that is it's either biased or people have not researched it, and it's not. I'm not just saying on one side. I'm saying on both sides they have not researched this whole thing. And,
You're right.
And they put it up there, and they believe this, and they don't go back and they don't take a look at anything. They don't. And I asked so many people for a source, and then they give me a source, and of course of course Babylon Bee is
a source, of course, with a horse.
Right. Babylon Bee, one of the worst sources you can ever look. And the Onion News.
Okay, that's the Onion. There's that satire.
Right. There's satire. People don't know that.
Believe that stuff.
They do. They believe that stuff, and they send it. And I'm like, no, this is Babylon Bee. I'm not trash. Delete. And to be honest with you, if you send me stuff to my private Facebook, it won't ever get read. I don't. People send me the videos. I've seen this. People send me the same video like 15 times. Delete.
Oh my gosh!
I don't. I
am baffled. Like I said, it's very interesting. And listen, people that are listening to this, you all are in the same boat. You have those super lefties and super righties that are on your page. Some of them are your family members and you're related by blood, and you can't separate that no matter how hard you try. Some of them, it could be your spouse. I'm telling you, and this is a private thing. No one knows this. all you have to do is hit snooze for like 30 days on those people, and it's amazing how much more clean and coherent your Facebook pages will be, and they won't get a notification that so and so has snoozed on them for 30 days. So no one's going to know that you're doing that to them. You can do that. I encourage you to, because then you won't have to see all that stupid stuff.
Here's something funny. I've talked to several people who have had family. They were, they're family.
Yeah.
And they have disagreements politically, and the family has deleted them from Facebook, and they're no longer talking. There's that many people out there who are having issues with family and no longer talking to each other because of this political drama,
I have
of this racist drama.
Who's an actor, and I won't say who it is, but he has a sister, and his sister has officially disowned him because of all of this. Here's the crazy part about all that. Are you ready for this? He has a kid who is ethnic.
Wow.
And it's like, so she's an aunt, right? She has a nephew that's ethnic. And it's like, do you not get it? Like, but what are you going to do?
Well, I mean, it's crazy. And then, of course, they have this autonomous zones going on. Is that what's autonomous zones? Thank you. That's always been a difficult word for me to say. But in Seattle, this thing is going on. I received a video of a person who says he's shot 5 times, and he's like, I can't breathe, and I've been shot 5 times, and the police didn't come, and I was in the autonomous zone and all this.
That's why
they
didn't come.
But he did. He's not. But there's medical equipment behind him, like hoses and stuff. But he's not hooked up to anything. He doesn't have any. He's not. So I don't believe that. I don't believe that at all. I think this guy is faking it.
Well, yeah. And again, a lot of fake news out there. Everyone is a mandated reporter now that they have the power of a smartphone in their hand.
And my niece is she's a canine police officer, a sheriff's officer in King County in Seattle at SeaTac Airport.
Oh, wow.
And she's, they've been backing up the Seattle police a lot, and she says her mayor is just kind of crazy up there. That whole zone is like, in the mostly gay neighborhood. It's 6 blocks. The police are, I don't know why. To me, I think, gosh.
What do you think, Kevin?
They need to bring the military in and blow up. Oh, my gosh. I'm sorry.
We are going to get letters on that. Why would you say that?
Because this is stupid. This is really, really stupid. I think that, this is a dumb thing. It is. This is they're keeping people. They're taking a ransom for people. They want people to pay to get into their homes so they can live. Yeah. They're taking money. That's and bad. It's terrible. And we need to. The problem is that we have gotten weaker and we're not solving these problems. I'm serious. This is 6 blocks. This is a small problem that could be taken care of, but President Trump doesn't want to take care of it. I don't know why. He's leaving it to the mayor. The mayor is evidently people don't like the mayor. They think he's a wimp. There's a lot of things going on. I mean, you can call
what I'm curious to see is if it's going to influence other autonomous zones in major cities. Well, that's what I want to see.
Same thing in Portland. They're trying to do that in Portland. Trying to do that in Washington D.C. They're taking state statues down. I mean, this is just crazy stuff. And of course, the LAUSD. They wanted to defund the police for the LAUSD, and that fell through.
There's a big change in this country right now. You are going to see major police reform. It's already on its way, and I don't know when that happens. If that is going to be the start of the healing process going forward as a nation, I don't know, but I do know that it's coming based on everything that we're seeing. There's too much to dismiss. It's happening. It's absolutely happening. So we will see, though. We will see as a country to the extent of what that reform looks like.
Reform is good. I'm okay with reform to make things a little better. If you to improve things is one thing, and I know that they want to reform a lot of things, and make the police more about the harder crimes that are going on. Because we get a lot of people call about disturbances that are mental issues, and they want to send mental health people out to kind of handle those
Mental
services.
health. I've been advocating it
You know.
for way too long. It's super, super important. Mental health.
And I get that, and maybe that's a good thing, have somebody go out and take a look at these people who are mentally unstable, and maybe handle them maybe in a different way, as to have the police do it, which frees the police up for more harder things like murder crimes and hit and runs. Even hit and runs are probably not going to be that'll probably be one of the reform things, because of the fact that it's sad that a lot of it happens, but really that's not a major. It's not really it happens all the time out here in the Los Angeles area. So I think they'll be working more like murders, homicides, very hard domestic issues, maybe those kind of things. But the lighter stuff, they're going to try to move the police away from that. And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it's a bad thing. I don't know. But I do think that it is going to be one of those things where in the future, the reform is definitely going to be there, and we'll see if it works for everybody or if it doesn't work for everybody. It's going to be one of those things where it's like so many things going on right now. It's still up in the air, Andrew. I mean, that's
absolutely.
But I'm for reform if it's for the better, but I don't believe in defunding the police at all. I think that we need the police, and we need them to protect us. I mean, and people are calling right now and going, well, they're like the autonomous zone. I got shot 5 times. Where were the police? Well, you didn't want them in that area.
Yeah. So we have a great show today. It's actually funny that we're doing it on a Thursday, Throwback Thursday, right?
Exactly.
So
I'm excited about this. I was kidding you earlier. I'm thrilled about this. This is great.
When you said I don't care, I'm like, how could you not care? This is huge. This is huge. Okay. So we have talked about like the early 2000s and the 90s and the 80s in the past, and there was supposed to be a major blockbuster happening this summer, but thanks to COVID, it's been pushed to the next year. Ghostbusters. Remember, Kevin?
Yes.
Ghostbusters was supposed to come out
1984.
Right, but the new Ghostbusters.
Oh yeah, the new Ghostbusters
with the old cast from 1984.
Right.
Minus Harold Ramis. Rest in peace.
I love Harold Ramis. He was the best.
I know,
man.
He's great. He's absolutely great. But that was supposed to happen and it didn't happen. So we're just all kind of hanging out. I live and breathe Ghostbusters. It is probably on my shelf. We have the Bible and then Ghostbusters right above it. Just like right above it.
Over here we have the Bible.
I'm serious.
I can see it in the future.
I literally bought the 4 figures that were reprinted in Walmart from the 80s
John,
action figures.
Paul, Mark, and wait, which Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John? Which 4?
There he is.
That's the guy.
That's the guy, ladies and gentlemen. Billy Bryan, who played the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, is here today on the podcast.
Hi,
Billy,
Keith.
How are you?
Welcome, sir.
Doing great so far.
We're glad to have you here, man.
This is huge.
You.
It's like, did you even, and you probably get this all the time, did you ever think, being in that suit back in the 80s, hey, I'm going to be a part of like movie history here?
It was an all-encompassing experience for me. Why shouldn't it be the same for everybody else?
You're a legend, though. People know you're a legend. You're one of the biggest legends in the movie business. Actually, I think
Godzilla's a little taller.
Well, not much.
I mean, when we were growing up, they used to put the mark on the door frame, and Godzilla was always just a couple of inches bigger.
So the 3 big ones are Godzilla, King Kong. Can't forget about King Kong and the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. But King Kong was actually hanging off the building, but you were like walking through the buildings,
And climbing.
Yeah.
That's awesome. How heavy was putting on that big old marshmallow suit when you were shooting?
Well, I don't know if you know that I also built the suit.
I did. I was researching that, so you would know how heavy.
Yes, and it was very lightweight. It was all made of foam, lightweight foam, and I purposely made it comfortable because I was going to wear it.
Okay, it would have been better if you'd have said the whole thing was made of marshmallows. That would have been the whole thing.
Well, we thought about it, but we found out that they wouldn't hold up.
Right.
So a lot of people don't know this about Billy Bryan, but he's actually, we'll focus on Ghostbusters here, but Billy, you've actually been a part of a lot of movie history in the special effects department. Everything from like the third Jurassic Park to Bicentennial Man with, the late Robin Williams, The Cat in the Hat. Tell us a little bit about some of these other major movies in movie history that you got to be a part of.
Well, have you heard my resume rap?
I haven't.
It's on YouTube. It's under Bill Bryan's resume rap. Yes, in that order. I'm trying to remember. It could have been rap resume, but it's resume rap. You type in fact, you put in Bill Bryan's resume, it'll be enough and it'll come up. And the thumbnail is the Hollywood sign. And it starts like this. I've been a schmello, been a schweezel, been a bitch in a pit. Chucky wasn't done until I'd done my bit. Zebra and lion would never have met. Alien cocoons, that giant marionette. And it goes on, listing little puzzles of my career.
Yeah, that's awesome. When you were, let's go back to Ghostbusters really quick. I have ADHD, so we're gonna jump all over the place.
Oh, that's fine.
So when you were told to build a giant marshmallow man, what was your inspiration to make it look the way it did, or was it like a part of a storyboard? Like how did that process happen?
There were drawings. So they had done some illustrations that showed what they wanted it to look like. The first day I did a couple of maquettes, which is small sculptures about so high. And they sometimes you can see them in pictures. Like if you flip through the Ghostbusters making of book, you'll see on page 99, I think it is, or maybe it's page 100. It's my spot. But first I did a couple of clay maquettes just to ask, is this what you're talking about? And then started, whose dog's that?
That would be my dogs.
All right, then.
Yeah.
So they're fans, I can tell.
They are. They're huge fans.
So let's see. Yeah, we went through several different attempts first to make the suit. I tried carving the foam, but it leaves a rough surface that's hard to get rid of. Eventually you can get past it, but it takes a lot of work. And so I've been a fabricator for years, ever since in 1970, actually, when I was in high school. I saw a show called Muppets on Puppets. Jim Henson and Frank Oz had taken over the basement of a church and shot this little show on WGBH, I think it was, in Boston, the educational station.
I know it very well.
And so they showed how to make a variety of different puppets that kids could make. And when they got to the end, they said, and this is how we make a Muppet. And I learned, and I was hooked from that point forward.
What is as a fabricator, what has been your favorite character that you got to design and make it come to life?
All right. In Men in Black,
okay,
there's a creature. He was called Slug Guy while we were making it, but eventually they called him Grouchy because Tommy Lee Jones says, "Don't get too close to him. He's grouchy."
Oh, you mean like the little worm guys?
Well, those are the little worm guys. This was a big slug guy.
Okay.
Actually, it's a great big suit. Well, suit is sort of a misnomer. It's a creature.
Okay.
I was inside of it, and it was inflated. So there were vacuum cleaners and compressors and there were a bunch of hoses coming out the back end. I'm sitting on this little cart and scooting myself forward, and as the wheels are going around, there are bars connected to the wheels. So these big air-filled shoulders are sort of galumphing it forward. And then the first time you see it, that's when remember the movie Tommy Lee Jones has just said to Will Smith, "Well, you got the job." No, actually, Will says, "You came to me, so I don't want you calling me kid or anything," whatever the line was.
Right.
Because I've got the skills. And Tommy says, "Well, as of this moment, those skills mean absolute some word for nothing.
Of course.
And the door, the elevator opens, and we see out on the airport concourse, sort of, and over in the corner we can see Slug Guy or Grouchy galumphing along, and then we're down in line and walking down past customs, and then at the end of the line, that's when Tommy arrests Will's connection to my character.
Wow,
I have to say
that's cool.
I want to say, so you say you're a fabricator, but have you played? Do you play a lot of these kind of characters in
I've played
movies?
several. In Dreamcatcher, I was the I like to say Schweasel, because Shitweasel just doesn't roll off the tongue the same way.
Right.
Then Chucky, I helped puppeteer. I wasn't one of the main puppeteers. I was brought in to help cover a spot. And then, there've been others. Hard to remember. A lot of puppeteer bits, little squiggly this and that's that you've seen.
But the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man is basically your claim to fame. Or is that one of the first ones you did, or did you do other things before that? And then they knew you well enough to start doing the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man and these other characters like in Men in Black? Or how did you happen to actually get into this whole thing?
All right. I came to Hollywood expecting to fabricate costumes and puppets. But when I got here, I got hooked up with a Shakespearean theater out in Topanga. Will Geer.
Oh man, that'll do it. No, just kidding.
Yeah, Botanicum. There, I said it. And so I did a lot of plays, and so the performance is in my blood, as is the fabrication. So we were building still suits for Dune in 83, I guess it was, and. Yes, that's right. The year that my first son was born. That's how I remember. I remember the job according to the kids, and the kids according to the job. It's easy that way. Keeps them all straight. So I was working on still suits, and one of the folks that I'd hired to help fabricate the suits went on to sculpt on Ghostbusters, and when asked, Linda Frobos was asked if she knew somebody who could fabricate and portray the character. She said yes, and I got the call and went in and showed off, and they said, yep, she's right. So we spent a bunch of time building various versions of that suit, first solid, as I was saying, and then worked out a system of layers, lamination, different layers of different foams, so that it was supported and yet movable.
Billy, let me ask you, do you ever go to the Comic-Con kind of type of conventions over the years?
Yeah, I've been to some bunch of conventions.
Okay. So
10 years.
I guess my question then to you is like for an actor, when they go to these panels and they see people in the audience that are trying to engulf the character that they themselves brought to life, that's flattering and stuff. Do you have that same type of feeling that comes over you when you see super fans of these different movies, including Ghostbusters, that you've been a part of, start to recreate some of those costumes that you did?
Well, to see other people cosplaying my characters?
Exactly. Yes.
I see. I'm always flattered. I forgot one of my characters, though. I wanted to bring it up because what I thought you were saying was, do I find myself trying to portray the character when people see me? I mean, you get Jack Nicholson probably doing Jack Nicholson.
Oh yeah.
Doing characters. Well, since I haven't done a lot of, haven't had any lines in any movies, for instance. But there is that one, the pit bitch in Army of Darkness is one that when people comment on it, I'll give them a kind of a moment to simulate the moment in the movie.
The things about that also is, like, for instance, I'm a huge fan of Lost in Space. I've loved that show from the 60s. And the robot, the guy who was inside the robot, actually became fairly famous for doing and I say that now. Of course, I can't even remember his name, but you know, he had a good career as a robot on Lost in Space, and you seem to be this kind of the same. I mean, everybody knows this. If you've ever seen Ghostbusters, you know that in the end of the sequence of the show, pretty much, that you're going to be there. You're the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. That's going to be you. I mean, and so many other shows too, like Men in Black and Doom and those things. And I just feel like that is people don't realize how much work goes into a background to make something become alive and realistic, like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Am I not right about that? There's a lot of work, right?
That's true. The big miniature. It's an oxymoron, right? That I walked on for the last couple of shots. Now, originally, I mean, the very first shot is from behind buildings.
Right.
And so, yes, those buildings were manufactured in the shop.
That was always scary to me when I was like 6, because like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man wasn't scary, but just the way they did that was it always gave me goosebumps.
Sneaky, coming behind the buildings.
Yeah. And
then coming out from behind the big FBI building there on Columbus Circle. That one, of course, they actually shot the frame in New York, and then they sandwiched layers together to drop me oversized into it, and then have people running in front as well. They shot some of them in front of a black screen so that they could optically print several layers.
How much computer generation was going into that back then? I mean, you did a lot of fabrication, but how much computer generation went into that?
Exactly 0.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah. The first Macintosh was coming out that year. They weren't doing CG yet. That didn't actually start kicking in. I mean, the first time anybody really believed it was Jurassic Park, right?
Right.
And when was that? 90 something?
93.
Okay. So 9 years later, they had finally worked up CG enough to actually, convince somebody with it.
So a lot of the stuff was old school. Miniatures.
It was all old school. It was all optically printed rather than digitally
trick camera angles and things like that. Trick camera angles and stuff like that.
Some of that, yes, and some. Chuck Gasper and his company with the big cop car dropping into the hole.
Right.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
That was a massive, wonderful physical effect that they shot out at the Strauss Ranch here in LA area.
That was cool.
Yeah. So the whole film was. I mean, there were water tank moments coming up out of the subway ghost coming up. But that was a reverse shot, I believe, because you pull it backwards and then you shoot it, and it seems to be attacking you.
Did you do any work, or are you allowed to say on the new Ghostbusters that Jason did? Jason Reitman?
I think the closest I can come to saying is that it was suggested that I be hired on something.
I agree. I absolutely agree.
It was declined as well.
Dang it!
It was a little too late in the production, but so it goes. Because actually, Jason said he thought it was a good idea, but the budget was already sealed.
Have you seen it?
No, I have not.
Okay. So since Jason said that to you, if there's like remnants of Stay Puft somewhere in it, then that's him paying tribute to your character, right?
Probably, if that's the case.
Yeah. That's
what
crazy.
I'm hoping is that they included 2 frames from the original.
That would be cool.
That would be cool.
That would be really cool. I wanted to ask you, what's really cool about getting you for this interview is literally we were like within days of the United States release of Cleaning Up the Town, which was a documentary released last year in the UK. Yes. 10 years, this documentary is in the making because the late Harold Ramis is actually interviewed in it.
It may be 12 by now.
Well, I mean,
But,
the
I mean,
trailer says 10 years, but
over
yeah.
10 years, I think.
When did you do your interview for this documentary?
Well, that's why I'm saying this.
Oh, okay.
I think it was in 08 or 09.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah, when Anthony and Claire came over, sat right here next to me, and we had some conversations about it.
Is there anything that you said in that documentary that hasn't been said before?
Has never been said, but it wasn't said on that either.
Oh, okay.
Let me think now. I think I told all the secrets. You know all the secrets, right?
I think I do. I think I know all the secrets.
Do you know about the T-shirt?
What's the secret with the T-shirt?
Tell them about the T-shirt, Ray. All right. The first time we see Stay Puft,
okay,
bobbing his head behind the buildings,
yes,
by sideways, and because they wanted the head and the buildings in focus, I couldn't wear the suit. It pushed me too far away from the buildings.
Okay,
closer, and so because I was told it would be cut off here.
You wore a T-shirt.
I just wore this Michelin T-shirt inside.
That's ironic.
And there is one alleyway that I passed by, and in that 4 or 5 frames, you can click through on your Blu-ray, and you can actually see the Michelin Man bob by subliminally. It's really quick.
That's awesome.
And there's one other. You know about the tie.
What with the tie? Because I think I remember seeing some Ghostbuster fan video about the shirt, because it does jog my memory.
Okay.
But the tie, I don't think I know that one.
Well, it's my blooper. It was the first time that Stay Puft is blasted by the guys standing on the parapet.
Uh-huh.
Backs away, and the bib is visible, and the bib, and then there should be a tie there, but there isn't.
Oh.
I was supposed to glue it on, but Joe Viscoso was sticking flash bulbs and rocket generators into the bib, and he didn't want to lean against it. So he said, "We'll put it on, when I'm done with this." And somehow, I guess I'd already checked it off in my head. So I, sat up at 2:00 in the morning and said, he wasn't wearing his tie.
I know it's been like 36, 37 years since this movie was shot, and it was foam, the costume. Are there any remnants of that original costume anywhere?
There are, I think there are a couple of hands somewhere. I have 5 baggies with one hand in them.
Oh, okay.
It's in little pieces. It's very sad. Very, very sad.
What about the models that you did, to present it and stuff? Are those anywhere?
I doubt it. I suspect that they were probably shoveled into the trash along with, the rest of the making of, because, Boss Films had a bunch of other films to do.
Right.
Directly after. Actually, even during, they were doing 2010. I mean, Les Eckert, one of the model makers, was building parts between building the buildings. He was also building parts of the spaceship in 2010. So that was going on. It was a very full building.
Right.
Next year.
Wouldn't it be cool though? It would be cool. I mean, I've seen if you've in the last year or so, if you've seen any of the Brady Bunch episodes that when they rebuilt the Brady Bunch house on IGTV,
okay,
they went and found a bunch of old Brady Bunch relics and stuff in an old warehouse. Wouldn't it be cool if they found some Ghostbusters relics, like the models and the little presentations you used for your character, were found in some of these old warehouses? Surely somebody's got some of this stuff.
Actually, I do have this. This is a taxi that I had my foot on.
Is that the taxi you stepped on?
Yeah.
I just got goosebumps. I swear to God, I just got goosebumps. That is so cool. That is so cool.
Yeah, it was one of the. They bought a bunch of cop car models because they were of this oversized scale, and it was the one car that they were able to find, and then they painted them up as various types of taxis and other things, also cop cars, and then heated it up with a heat gun and smushed it and put there's a little bit of marshmallow on it.
Yeah,
Right.
I think it's foam or something.
Now
that's awesome.
You actually
it might even be overkicked super glue.
You actually smashed those during the filming?
Actually, I mean, they were already
pre-smashed
flat. So I started one shot with my foot on it,
right,
and stepped off of it. I had to be gentle. And actually, in the shot where the tie is missing, let's see, to me it looks like this, but it's actually, well, in the movie, I think it's this shoulder, over this shoulder, as he, comes back, as that tie, as the flash bulbs, as the guys shoot their neutrino wands, as it blasts everything, the car is visible on the ground behind me.
Oh. Did you were you asked for Ghostbusters 2? Because I know Stay Puft is an uncredited role, but did you give any like consultation or like recommendations in the second movie at all?
No, the second movie, it went from Boss Films to International. No, what is it? Industrial Light and Magic. So ILM did the effects, did the movie up in San Francisco. One of my friends, Mark Siegel, the fellow who actually helped me get the job on Dune, and then he graduated into Ghostbusters as well. And then he worked on 1 and 2, went on up north. And from that point on, he was working at ILM. I don't know. I guess I did hear that there was one other person I'd heard of who also worked on it, on the second one. But mostly no. They just switched companies.
Was there ever in your time after the second one, was there ever a talk of a third movie where maybe you were discussed to come and work on, maybe a some specific details from a coulda, woulda, shoulda, never happened movie?
Well, there were so many versions of coulda, shoulda, woulda, and none of them got past the script and no thank you stage from Bill Murray. So as far as I know, anyway.
So there could have been a script out there where they bring Stay Puft back and you wouldn't know.
Correct.
Oh, man.
There's probably plenty of fan fiction out there. In fact, actually, just recently on Instagram, I saw that somebody was doing a little adventures of Stay Puft. Well, actually, there are various versions. The one where they'd actually animated or puppeted a little Stay Puft, a baby. It's an elaborate story where the goo from the first ends up impregnating somebody.
Yeah, that's definitely fan fiction right there.
See, that would have been kind of cool if they had made a cartoon out of you, like a Saturday morning cartoon.
Right.
That would have been kind of cool. That, and you I don't know if the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man in Ghostbusters, I guess, was kind of a bad guy, but that'd have been cool if you could have been kind of a superhero.
He was a sailor.
Man. Yeah.
He was new in town, that's all. They had an arrangement how to take care of him.
He was just looking for a good time. That's what he was looking for. Yeah.
That's right.
So as a super fan of Ghostbusters, and a lot of other Ghostbuster fans that are going to be, listening or watching this podcast could attest to, we don't normally talk about that other one that was made a couple years ago, but I did see that you were actually a part of it. You did some more fabricating, I guess, since it's relevant to Ghostbusters. Can you tell us a little bit about some of those particular puppets? Because like other fans, I did see the movie, so I'm aware of it.
All right. There's a moment when a sort of a harpy creature lands on Leslie's shoulder. And
yes.
does it drag her away, or I can't remember if it lifts her up or fails to. But anyway, a friend of mine, Rick Lazzarini, had the job of creating the solid versions of these characters that would eventually end up being covered over with CG.
Mm-hmm.
Just the way we love it. Anyway, so in an effort to generate a little bit of interest, I don't know, maybe a foolish effort, but a few of us, including my son, me, 2 or 3 or 4 more folks, put in a few days gratis to create some physical creatures, and I'm afraid that seeing us do that freaked them out.
Oh, really?
And on production, it scared them that things were happening without their control, and so they quelled it even more. So it was, I guess maybe he made some chicken feet or something that to blend into that creature, or maybe not. I'm not even sure what all he ended up doing. Yeah, nothing really. Unpaid. I can't even say I was on the movie, really. And then when it came out, it was just so good.
Some believe that.
I got to go to Japan because of it when it was opening in Tokyo.
Well, hey, that's cool.
Somebody invited me to stand up in front of an audience or two, and
not bad for an unpaid gig, right?
Right, exactly.
Let me ask you. You've been in the business for so long, so obviously, my background is like a recording artist. So as I go through doing records and stuff, more and more technology makes it easier for people to sing. So it kind of takes away from the art form. You as an artist, all the new technology that's out there, do you feel like it dumbs down what you do as a craft? Or do you appreciate it? Or is it more of an appreciation?
I love to see good work, however it's done. If it's really well done, I like it. If it's crappy, well, sometimes even crappy can be enjoyable. But if it's lazy, I don't know. Come to think of it, I'm lazy, so maybe I shouldn't object.
Well, here,
but CG has done a lot for us. It has helped in puppeteering. Actually, I suppose mechanics would complain about it more, because elaborate mechanisms that are made in order to control an arm can be replaced with a stick through a wrist.
Yeah.
And then that stick can be green screened out, as long as it's not crossing over. But I'm sure you understand what I'm talking about.
I do, so, yes.
And it can smooth out the performance. That on Jurassic 3, there were some baby pteranodons that were stacks of knuckles inside, and some that were just a rope. And they, in the first shot that we see the baby pteranodons, mother is flying the kid over the rock, and we look down and we see the babies all looking up and tracking, because here comes food, right? And some of them are kind of janky, and some of them are nice and smooth. It's the easy rod puppeteering makes the performance easy. Now then, later on, there are other things that it had to do that were better served by the mechanisms. I forget which ones, what the things were. But anyway, it depends on what you need. And like we threw all of the baby pteranodons into the one shot because we needed them all. And it was a chance to see the difference between the two. But it's also, if you've got the variety, you can spread it out among all the various shots required.
So I have a couple of questions here in regards to all of that. As you know, I mean, you've been doing this a long time. You fabricated stuff, and like we said, Ghostbusters is done old school. There's been no computer generation in that whatsoever. However, Disney, Disney does a lot of Imagineering for a lot. The Imagineers are very popular. How much, and you were talking about using the old school with the stick, and then of course there's other things. How much Imagineering per se, to take it away from Disney, but how much of the idea of Imagineering is going into and going into it as well, and how much of it do you have to, as a fabricator, move forward with this yourself, kind of be schooled on this, and move into more modern technology and as you go along? Because obviously, if you're doing more modern shows now, you have to know something about that too as well. And I'm sure you learn it through what you're doing, as many movies as you have worked on. How much of that is still old school, and how much of it is computer generated type of Imagineering where they're using all the mechanics, electronics? Yes.
Okay. Imagineering is a copyrighted Disney name, and it just obviously they took imagination and engineering and jammed them together.
But they're still using that in other movies. Surely they're using those ideas in other movies. Everything's moving forward in that some kind of aspect, right?
Animatronics is another one of those words where animation and electronics get banged together, mashed up into one word. That's maybe a little more accurate to describe what you're talking about. Just the terminology, Imagineering is very specific to the company. So, of course, we have to work with what's being used today. There has been a bit of a backlash against computer generation. People don't want to see bad CG, without gravity. There's some great stuff out there, and it just keeps getting better, of course. But at Q&As, sometimes when this question comes up about how do I feel about CG taking over the work, and I ask the audience how many enjoy cartoons, and everybody raises their hands. And then I ask how many want every movie they ever see from now on to be a cartoon, and all the hands go down, because we want to see some reality too. We want there's a believability about stuff in front of you. It's going to take a long time before we can really get down to the pixels, the details of real flesh. Even the best sculpture, well, there are limits in filmmaking that make it possible to use makeup effects. The limits of the pixel. Let's see.
Right, the pixelation is limited for you. It just doesn't go as far or deep as close as it should. We're not there yet.
You can't. If you magnify a needle, it'll look very rough when you get up close to it, right?
Right.
It'll look smooth as silk out here, but then up here it'll look like a rocky crag. So in the same kind of way, the tighter the resolution, eventually the computers will be able to match reality, and we'll all live in a computer construct. But until then, it's good to have some real stuff to hang on to. It feels like you can poke a finger at.
What is your most challenging project that you've ever been on or had to create?
Well, it's that same one that I was telling you about before. The slug guy was all made out of plastic bags. Now I've been given credit for inventing this type of usage of the plastic bags. Maybe reinvent is better. I understand that there were underwater creatures in not Lost in Space, but Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea that were made out of plastic bags as well. So I can't claim complete provenance, but I had come up with some ways to use the stuff, and then I got to just bear down and take care of all the parts of this particular creature. It was exciting to be able to take it from beginning to end and perform it as well. How's that?
That's good. That's good. People that aspire to do what you did so many years ago, that want to get in the business, want to be fabricators, all these young whippersnappers, if you will. What's the advice that you give them in this current age of Hollywood? Like, because probably the advice back then is a little different than now with all the technology. So what are the magic words? You know, the holy grail that they need to know if this is something they want to pursue.
It's all about knock their socks off. If you come up with something that's going to impress the hell out of people, demonstrate your excellence is the best way to get anything in life, especially a job. Oh yes, Neil Gaiman gave a speech in which he said the three things necessary to get along in the business, the art world is, do a good job, do it on time, and be easy to get along with. And as long as you've got two of those, one of them can slide a little bit, but it's best to have all three in great number. So all you have to do is be brilliant, and the world will, what is it, make a better mousetrap, and the world will be a path to your door.
Wow, that's great. It's good stuff. It's really good stuff.
And that goes to other people too as well. I mean, those are three things.
It's to anything.
Yeah, to anything. I mean, that's true. I mean, if you want to work in the music business or the movie business or any kind of business at all, those are the three things that you need for sure. I think, I don't know if people understand that sometimes or not.
Yeah.
I mean, you got along and get you more jobs that way, right?
Of course. I've always made sure that when I pull my head out of a suit, I'm just having the best time of my life.
Right. You have to be in the moment for sure. You have to be in the moment.
Absolutely. Hey, Billy, I want to say thank you so much for joining us today on the podcast. This was a real treat for us.
So can I do a little advertising?
Yeah, dude, plug yourself, whatever you want.
Hey, all right then. There's a lot of Stay Puft things. If you go to my Instagram at, bill.staypuft. And then there's staypuftandsons.com, which is a site where various paintings and clothing, it's a printed clothing line. That's staypuftandsons.com. Yeah, let's see now. What else? Check out my resume rap on YouTube.
Awesome.
You should enjoy it.
I'm going to write this all down so we can put it in the links when the video comes out.
That'll be good.
Any more projects coming up in the future for you?
Actually, right now, I'm working from home on one of the costumes for The Masked Singer.
Oh wow! That's a popular show right now.
Have you done any of the other ones from the other seasons? Which ones did you do?
The butterfly.
Oh, love the butterfly. That was a good one.
The llama.
Oh yes, the llama was a funny one. That was very clever.
Thank you. The mouse with the fairy wings.
Oh, okay, all right.
Big-headed mouse. Let's see. Did I work on some others? There was that crazy the guy with the glasses and the green furry creature.
The thingamajig.
Yeah, something like that. There you go.
I know them all.
Well done.
So you're doing a lot of fabricating for The Masked Singer then too. Well, that's great.
Yeah. I'm working on one, but I probably can't tell you what it is.
Right.
That's okay. That's okay.
Now my son has been working on it as well. Toby, he did the kangaroo last season.
That was a good one.
Did a lot of hands, paws for just about everything. My niece Ratna designed and fabricated the cat head specifically. The white tiger, and then Miss Kitty or whatever her name was, the little pink
So do you get to propose like, hey, I want to do this type of costume, or they tell you this is what we need?
They come to my my boss, who's actually my protege, my best friend's son. That I gave him his first piece of foam.
Okay.
And now he's got his company, Stupid Buddy Builds, and he's got control of that now.
Very cool.
That is amazing. See, you just don't know. You never know who's doing what, where, behind the title and the backgrounds. That's awesome, dude. That's awesome. The Masked Singer is an extremely popular show. I have tons of friends who watch that show.
I'm glad to hear it. It's nice that I don't have to branch into the CG because I'm still fabricating. There are still places where it's the right thing. It wouldn't work I suppose you could put dots on the singers' faces and cover them in I guess that's in a few seasons. They'll
probably
mask the singers digitally.
I think though, honestly, I don't know if they should do that or not, because honestly, what you're doing, these costumes are just outrageous, and people look at them. That's part of the whole cool part of the show.
It's also fun to be in a room where the various characters are being constructed. The banana, the turtle, the T-Rex over there, the various elements, the frog, and it's fun to be in a room where all that's going on. It's a little more lonely now, just doing it on the kitchen table.
One last quick question: how heavy are those costumes? They're pretty heavy.
No. We make them lightweight. Again, the same
That's
sort
amazing.
of thing.
They look so heavy.
The butterfly is it's a music wire, very slender music wire that's just soldered, wrapped and soldered and hooked to a frame. The frame arrangement is based on Vegas showgirls.
Right.
My first job when I got to town was at NBC, and some of the things that we were making were these showgirl frames, and it's just some bent wire. It's music wire, so it's very strong, and it can hold up all that, and also have some flexibility. So you get to play it a little bit.
And you don't know who the costumes that you build go to.
I don't know who's going to wear the one I'm wearing now, but on the other ones, I've always known.
Oh, okay.
Because we have to make it fit.
Right, build it for you tailor them. Tailor them. I got it.
But this one's got some room availability.
That's so amazing that you do this stuff. I am so glad you decided to come to our show. Kevin and Andrew have a podcast today, because it's amazing to see what's going on behind the scenes, like with Ghostbusters. Looking forward to 2021 for the new Ghostbusters, of course.
Me too.
And
did they at least give you an invite to the premiere?
Well, I met what's his name? What is it?
Jason?
Jason, that's his name. Jason. I met him at the 35th reunion on the Sony lot, and he invited me over to talk to his dad. I said, you know what? I don't think your dad's all that fond of the character. I don't know. If you've watched anything about the show, that's always the thing that he talks about the most, is that he had no faith in it, that he wasn't sure that he wanted his perfect joke movie to just fall apart at the very end because nobody got the joke. Well, people got it. He didn't.
And that's I guess he was wrong. I have to say it. He was wrong, because that
happens sometimes.
That thing is, it's a legend. It's a legend in the movies, in the 80s movies. That's a legend. Everybody knows that. Yeah. Everybody. Yeah.
Now, I didn't do junkets. I didn't go around and talk. I didn't do interviews back then because I didn't want to be the guy who was giving away the secret. I didn't want to be the spoiler, because I'm playing the punchline of the best joke around, and I didn't want people walking in saying, "Marshmallow Man, what's that going to mean?" And so I didn't do it, and I've also not been one of those guys who wants to give away all the secrets about how things are done. But since then, it's been ubiquitous. There's been people telling magician secrets and things like that. I mean, so I guess the time has passed for keeping those secrets.
Well, you know,
Very
I mean,
good.
everybody always has those kind of stories, just a little bit, and it's always going to be that way.
So, Bill, I want to say thank you again for being on our show today. This was incredible.
My
And
pleasure, Andrew.
I hope another big blockbuster as big as Ghostbusters comes soon so we can have you back to talk about that one.
And he's working on one. We should talk about the Masked Singer soon too. That's
Okay.
that's a great
Yeah.
show.
We'll talk about Army of Darkness on another one.
All
A little
right.
bit more about that, because you could probably get some of the other guys in on that.
Yeah, that'd be great. No, that'd be amazing.
We appreciate you being here, Bill. We do appreciate
Yeah.
it so much.
Real pleasure.
Thank you so much. You have a good night.
Thanks for the invitation.
You're welcome.
Night, everybody.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Billy Bryan right there on the Kevin and Andrew Have a Podcast show.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Billy. We appreciate it so much. Gosh,
It was great. It was a
Amazing.
really good interview.
amazing show. Amazing. I'm very,
Appreciate
very, very pleased with the way that turned out.
Oh, good. I'm glad. Are we out?
We're out.
We are. We're going to do our wrap up here probably in the next 3 minutes.
I see. All right, then. I'm going to take off. I'm going to get back to real life.
Yeah. All right. You take care.
Thanks a lot. It was a pleasure.
Yeah.
Tell
Thank you.
Faye I say hi.
Will do. I will do.
All right. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. Shout out to Faye. She's a good friend of mine in LA that made the connection for me.
Awesome.
So
Thank you, Faye.
wow.
Thank you, Faye.
Thank you, Faye.
It's good to have connections once in a while. You never know what you come up with and things like that.
It saved my butt a couple times.
Man, the
Couple of
guy
times.
is just a legend in the fabrication business
Yeah.
for stuff, man. The Ghostbusters, of course, that's you know, and Dune, that's another great, you know, that was another great
You know, Bryan Cranston used to be like the guy inside all the bad guy costumes in Power Rangers in the 90s.
right.
Like, it's so cool. It's so cool when you meet people that got to put on those costumes and stuff. And with Ghostbusters, I mean, it's a big deal. It's a very big deal.
Because he was part of I mean, like that was just a legendary at the very end, legendary. It's you don't know if you don't talk about Ghostbusters ever without talking about the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. You just don't.
True story. True story.
And
So,
you know, and like now,
anyways.
the same thing with the Masked Singer. That's another thing. You know,
Yeah.
that show was huge,
Yeah.
and people are just like, "Who's in the costume? Who's in the costume?" You know, and he's working on those costumes, and those
Yeah.
costumes are famous. Those are going to go in a museum someday, and they're going to be up there,
Yeah.
and people are going to be looking at that.
They're very detailed, super beautiful.
So it's amazing.
Yeah. So, well, let's wrap up the show because I got to go get something to eat. I'm hungry.
All righty, me too. I need to eat
So
too as well.
thank you, everybody, for tuning in. If there's somebody or something that you want to see in the future, topics, whatever, hit us up. Let us know. It's the only way we can go out and go find it for you. KOAC podcast.
It's been a week or two since we've had a show.
I
so-
know. KOAC podcast at gmail.com. You can also find us on Facebook.com / and I'm not making this up, the best podcast ever. Facebook.com / the best podcast ever. You can also find us, Kevin and Andrew Have a Podcast on YouTube, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. We're everywhere.
We are everywhere. We are nationwide, and we do want you to check us out. Please write us. We're at Gmail, the very best. What was it
Follow,
again?
subscribe.
Kevin and Andrew have KOAC podcast at Gmail.
KOAC podcast at gmail.com.
I'll never, you know, I invented that, and I'll still never get it right.
I know, right?
You know, but
So it's simple once you kind of remember it.
I know, but we got to get people to write us, send us comments, you know, like our YouTube page, like our Facebook page, like us. And you can also check out the podcast on KevinO'NeillSoundLabs.com.
There it is.
So you can check that. If there's a tab that says podcast, you can go right to it. All the episodes are there. They're updated as quick as everything else is. So there's no way that you cannot enjoy our lovely podcast that we do here from time to time.
No, it's amazing. So,
Andrew,
all right.
go eat.
What?
Go eat. Have a good time. Enjoy yourself.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Later.
Everybody have a good night. Thank you for tuning in to Kevin O'Neill. Our Kevin and Andrew Have a Podcast. Stay tuned, stay safe, and God bless.